Good morning. This is Bob Passy, and this is the fifth edition of Democracy Rising America. And I want to talk a little bit about thinking of giving you some perspectives that to make sense of this crazy kind of election that's going on. It's important to look at it in larger terms other than just a contest between two candidates or three candidates. Well, for one thing, they're trying to make it sound like it's only a contest between two candidates, and that's part of the problem. The third candidate, Bernie Sanders, is really saying that we have a system that is not working at all for the ordinary Americans. It's not just a race between personalities, and although the Hillary and Donald race is a kind of a race of personalities, it's kind of an in-house fight, scratching and calling names and rolling around on the floor, but and very little about issues. But the real issue is about whether you're going to have an in-house kind of election, which means that the in-house is the 1% ruling the 99%, the oligarchs, the economic elite, making decisions and pretty much running this country on almost every level, and from the media through the ordinary organizations that are influential in this country to certainly the government or lack of effective government. And everyone outside of it is pretty frustrated because they're really being hurt. On one hand, you have the kind of Tea Party that the Republicans, the economic elite, kind of started to give the Democrats a hard time, and now has grown in some ways like a Frankenstein, and has taken on its own life. And Donald Trump has tapped into that frustration and used that as a base, and to grow an even larger outside of the 1% backing. Which is a little unsettling to the 1%, but you have to remember, Donald Trump is the epitome of the 1%. He is rich and powerful. He is part of the oligarchy, and he believes in 1% ruling the 99%, although he doesn't say that quite to his followers. But he's okay operating. He's not going to destroy that system. He got rich with it and powerful, and he's going to keep it in place. On the other hand, you have the other part of the in-house candidacy is Hillary Clinton, who is perfectly okay with kind of corporate control, with continuing the direction that Obama has gone. That has, on the surface, you may think that that was helpful. It wasn't. Just look at the economic indicators from the time he came into office. I'm not talking about the stock market, which is just an indication of how well the wealthy are doing. The other indicators, wages, union membership, middle class, social services, all of those things have almost all disappeared. Income inequality is greater than it's ever been. So, that was the 1% ruling the rest of us. And Hillary is pretty much okay with doing that. And they're pretty much okay with Hillary running it. I mean, her friends are the corporate people. That's who she's been rubbing shoulders with, and they've courted her, and she's courted them. And pretty much they are the biggest influence in the Democratic National Committee, who have made it almost impossible for Bernie Sanders to exist, although he has shown that he can exist without them. And I just need to say that even though he's being talked about as, well, why didn't he just stop and support Hillary? Well, there's several reasons, but boy, we better hope he doesn't stop, because we can't just wait another 4 years. 4 years is I don't believe we're going to have another opportunity. It's as simple as that. In 4 years, global warming will be much worse because Hillary's not going to do anything about it, nor is Donald Trump. There will probably not be a lot of decrease in wars. There will not be a lot of change in the directions, economic directions things are going. The rich will continue to get rich, and the rest of us will continue to be there to support them. Not getting richer, certainly, and not having much of a future. and the possibility of going back to a democracy, or the Democratic Party even going back to what the Democratic Party should be, are going to be gone. In 4 years, now they know the threat from the outside. And once they know the threat, they didn't know this time. That's why they got caught off guard. And they had to work really hard to discredit Bernie Sanders, even though he has more support than anybody in the country. And he would beat Trump easier than Hillary will. Maybe it's even a toss-up of whether Hillary can. Anyway, and if she does, I don't know what positive things are we going to get closer to democracy under Hillary? I mean, what's your plan? What's your economic plan? What's your plan to get people back in having a voice? What's your plan to confront the rich and powerful? What's your plan to change things economically for the ordinary people? I haven't heard any plans. I mean, other than, well, we want to do that and we want to make sure women get better wages, which is great. It just, if you don't change the system, it's not going to work. And in 4 years, I just don't believe that there will be many opportunities to vote. We saw how much in the last, oh goodness, certainly 8 years, the voting process has been restricted and closed down, and we keep closing it down. They keep finding ways to close it down more. Gerrymandering, voter restrictions, all those kinds of things. Being a citizen does not give you a right to vote anymore. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops that the rich and powerful can jump through, and the poor and not very powerful have a hard time doing, and that's exactly the point. And in 4 more years, voting will be closed down. It's almost our only path now to making that change back toward democracy. And that's what Bernie Sanders is saying. We have to do this. And so in 4 years, well, global warming is going to be a disaster because neither Trump nor Hillary are going to do much to change the direction that we're going with that. Economics are going to be a disaster, and voting is going to be closed down. And the next thing is they will be prepared for an outside threat like Bernie Sanders. The other thing is Bernie Sanders is not going to end up running again. How are you going to find any candidate that is, I don't know what else to say, as pure as Bernie Sanders? He has no handles. They can't talk about him as being unethical or doing dirty deals or whatever, because he doesn't. Well, when's the last time you even heard of a candidate that was like that? He has no skeletons in his closet. At any rate, it's important to think about this in terms of the in-house election that they want of Bernie Sanders, or of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, both of which basically support the system, and they want to make sure that Bernie doesn't get anything, and that's why Bernie is staying in till the Democratic National Convention. He is hoping against all hope, and we should too, that somehow the Democrats, especially the Democratic National Committee, sees how viable and how vital it is to the Democratic Party and the country that we actually confront the 1%. If we don't, we're done. And the Democratic National Committee, I think, would just as soon see the Democratic Party pretty much implode rather than allow the threat against the 1%. Sad but true. Maybe it'll suddenly change. I certainly doubt it. So we have to keep up the pressure to force the Democratic National Committee to change direction. Bernie's more likely to win against Trump than Hillary. Hillary may even lose, but I think they're willing to pay that price, unfortunately. I've been a Democrat all my life. It's just so sad to watch what they're doing to this party. At any rate, there's some things for you to think about, and we'll see you again soon. Bye now.